We got a broadcast deal to tell you about and a possible spoiler as well to talk about this morning. A short while ago, Nexstar Media Group said that it's going to buy rival Tegna in a cash deal valued at $6.2 billion. The transaction still subject to regulatory approval and Tegna shareholder approval. Meanwhile, late yesterday, the Wall Street Journal reporting that Sinclair, one of the nation's largest owners of local TV stations, wants to merge its TV business with Tegna. So there's a lot going on here to unpack. For more details, we are joined now in an exclusive interview by Perry Sook. He is the founder, chairman, and CEO of Nexstar. Good morning to you. You have a deal, but maybe not. Where are you at this point?
Well, the deal was voted on and approved unanimously by both sets of boards of directors of both Tegna and of Nexstar last night. So we will begin the regulatory approval process as soon as this morning. And as you know, that requires FCC license transfers and other regulatory approvals. So it's probably a 6 to 9 month, perhaps even 12-month approval process. And that's what we begin work on today.
We'll get to the Sinclair piece in just one moment, but just walk through the numbers, the math of why putting these two companies together makes sense in your mind, and how we, the public and the investor class, should think about these two industries or these two companies amid an industry that I think a lot of people are concerned about.
Well, first and foremost, Nexstar has chosen to focus on the local part of the media ecosystem, which I like to say is the least sexy but most sticky part of the media ecosystem. You know, we produce local news, and the combined companies will produce in excess of 450,000 hours of local news on an annual basis. And we help local businesses sell stuff. Nexstar alone has relationships with over 40,000 SMBs across the country. And we believe that business is durable, and those touch points and local relationships are very important and also very sticky. So we believe also that broadcast news is essential to this country and a free democracy, independent local news, and that broadcast TV is basically the last bastion of local news at the local level. And our goal is to become a big company, a bigger company, and hopefully be able to compete on a level playing field with big tech that is pervasive in all aspects of media, advertising, programming, sports rights. And so this is our goal, both to play both offense and defense, to maintain a vital industry for America and a vital source of information.
Perry, how do you think regulators are going to look at this deal? By my count, and maybe you have a different count, there's about a dozen markets where there's overlap. And so there's a question, of course, about what happens to the news or the two news networks, if you will, that compete in those markets, for example.
Well, there are 35 markets in this transaction where both Tegna and Nexstar operate television stations. So there will be a combination of those into one facility. Think of it, if you will, as operating two newspapers off of a single printing press. And again, our focus here is on increasing the amount of local product, giving us, with two stations, more time period flexibility when we can air local programming and local news and basically meet the viewers where they are, whether it's on a broadcast or digital platform, with our trusted product. So Nexstar has a track record of doing this. About half of the markets that we operate in today, Nexstar derives an economic benefit from more than one television station through a series of sharing arrangements where historically outright ownership of more than two stations or two stations in a market has been prohibited. And as you know, the Eighth Circuit Court basically vacated in July the two-station rule, or the two top big four station rule, that prohibited an operator from owning two of the top four rated stations in a marketplace. So we feel, as we move through this regulatory process, that we're meeting deregulation kind of where it is at this point. We think it's evolving, and we think our case is compelling, not only for removal of the national ownership cap, which keeps broadcasting to 39% of the U.S. population, when we compete with big tech that is pervasive and able to reach every screen in every backpack, living room, and office in America. And so we just want to level the playing field.
Right. How much autonomy do the different units locally have? And the reason I ask is, I don't know if you recall, is actually Sinclair stations, not any of yours, I don't think, where there was sort of a repetition politically of, I don't know if you remember this, so many of the sort of messages that were coming from dozens of local markets, the reporters, if you will, would sort of say very, very similar things. And there was a question mark about in a national, here we are talking about local news, but clearly controlled by one big national enterprise, and how we as the American public are supposed to think about that. Yeah. It's an interesting development. We are we're trying to get, I think we might have just lost Perry for a moment there. We're going to get him back in a moment. But do you remember this? And you'd see they literally show each local market basically saying the entire same words.
The same words.
Exactly. And therefore, even though they're local, is it a good, from a public policy perspective, a good thing for one company to control all the local markets?
Andrew,
right?
It's perfect as a reason for my app that you're still working on.
Oh, yes.
Because it's a conspiracy.
The app.
You missed it.
I am coding.
To screen out all the mainstream media liberal bias from news.
I am vibe coding an app.
I try to do that. He's going to do it so you can pay $4.99
vibe coding an app
for it.
Called the Kernan MSM Truth app.
Yeah.
Which basically looks at every national story and then gives you the most conservative view of that story.
That's like knee-jerk reaction.
We might change it. Maybe we're going to change it to the Kernan MSM Now app.
Oh, wow. I think we might have gotten Perry back. Perry, you with us?
Did we talk long enough to get him back?
Well, okay. I think we're going to get him back. We have a lot more questions, including about, we were talking about Sinclair with this example, but Sinclair now trying potentially to jump into this deal and what that would mean for the price tag of the deal.
I want to talk to him about the retransmission content revenue streams that he's the godfather of. They've come under attack, so I'd like to get his thoughts on where we're headed.
Okay, let's do this. Why don't we take a commercial break, and maybe we can get him back, see if the technology gods will help us.
I'm back on board with local news. Well, NBC at 5. I can't watch anything else anymore. I just can't. It's too much. It's too much what happens at 5. So I'm back to watching weather.
Okay.
Yeah, I love Janice.
We'll come back.
See?
Wait.
Guess what?
See?
We might have gotten him.
I told you if I talk on.
Perry, you're back. The technology gods have helped us.
The gremlins of the broadcasting television business. I'm here.
Okay, so Perry, here's where we were going with this. We were talking about it actually while we were trying to hook the link back up. So I don't know if you recall, but there was a whole brouhaha actually around Sinclair. This is many years ago about how, and this went to the question about autonomy among local channels and how much control the sort of national business has over these local channels. And Sinclair, it sounded like, was effectively messaging out, and you saw their broadcasters actually in all sorts of markets saying very similar things about politics in the country. And I was curious how much autonomy you want the local news units to have after a transaction like this.
Well, we are first and foremost a local service business, and so the tastes and needs of the community in Portland, Oregon are different than Tampa, Florida, where we operate stations. And so we delegate authority and autonomy to our local market managers and our local newsrooms. And I do not dictate content. No one in the organization dictates any content. We work together on group projects, but no one's handed a script and said, here, read this, and it goes across all of the markets in which we operate. Right. The only times we've ever coordinated coverage is around public service or telethons or things like that, but certainly not in the editorial product of the newsroom.